Today is Thursday, May the 1st. Man, we're really close to one of my favorite holidays. Easter's one of my favorites. May the 4th is my holiday because I am a Star Wars nerd.
May the 4th
be with you.
There you go.
I'm excited for stuff. It's a great time, though. I love this. Again, I say this every week, but it's really true. I really have been enjoying this Dinner with Jesus series and just really thinking about the meals Jesus shared with people, because it's different. Like, I think I've preached a lot, and you've preached a lot, and taught a lot, like, on the teachings of Jesus, you know? Like, Jesus taught this, the Sermon on the Mount this, he pulled his disciples back into this, but there's just something different, because he taught at meals, but it's not the same like teaching in other times.
Yeah. So I actually, I know you know this about me. I don't know if everybody else does or not, but I'm actually, I'm going to college right now. I'm taking some grad school stuff, and I had a class on interpreting the Bible, which is while I've been preaching for a long time now, but many things I learned. But the professor, one thing he said one day, he said, we do a lot of teaching about, this is what Paul said, this is what, the words were, this is what he said, we need to spend more time looking at the dialogue that Jesus had with people and the settings that happened in. And there's a lot that happens there, and this on the mountaintops, the meal times, and then the words back and forth. And we need to soak those in, because we're telling stories, and the dialogue is where the story moves.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's really important, especially for you watching. I mean, we have to model this too, but like, you don't teach like we do. I think sometimes you read the words of Jesus, and by accident, people like us, we get up on stage and you think, that's how I have to tell people about Jesus, right? And it's not. And even the conversations Jesus has with people one-on-one or around meals, that's actually easier to model.
Yeah.
Because they're around stories, like you said. And that's something that you can do. So I've just been enjoying this time.
Yeah.
I look forward. I'm reaching this weekend. I'm looking forward to that. Just diving into the perspective, and we're going to be in Luke chapter 7, and talking about a sinful woman who came to Jesus. But really, the story's about a guy named Simon, and who invited Jesus. It's in his house. He's a Pharisee. We're going to try to step into the feet and shoes of Simon that one day. Let's talk about this last weekend. You talked about the road to Emmaus, which was after the resurrection, and Jesus shows up. And man, you said something on Sunday that just got me. Like, imagine like being schooled by Jesus on the road. And these are not really the words you used, but this is how I took it. Like, this is my version of it. Like, being schooled by Jesus on the road, and then you realize, oh my gosh, it was Jesus this whole time. And then you're like, man, because this is one thing, like when your teacher says something and you didn't pay attention.
Yeah.
And then he's like, what do you think? What do you do that? And they're like, man, I don't know. And then all of a sudden they realize, oh, it was the guy that we were supposed to be paying attention to for the last 3 years.
Well, it happens. So, my son, I think this can tell a story. I'm thinking it through my head real fast. One of at North Heights, our campus in North Heights, one thing that we did a lot leading up to the launch of it, and we've done some since then, is prayer walking the neighborhood around and just kind of walking and seeing that. Well, one night, I wasn't there. You were, and you sent out people. My son was there too. You sent him out with a couple people, and you said, Andrew, you've been here before. You're the leader. You know the neighborhood. You lead him out there. And he didn't know these people that were with him in the group. He's like, I got it. And he took off with it. And on the way, he's talking to them about his college, about his classes, about his professors, about all these little things. And then toward the end of it, he asked what their names were, and he found out that the lady with them was the wife of this professor he'd been talking about this whole time. And he's like, oh, Dad, what did I do? Because it's like on the road to Emmaus, we all of a sudden realized we were speaking a little ahead of ourselves.
Who knows more than us.
That's right.
But it changes things, right?
Yeah.
And so just these experiences people have. But so you had some questions, and I chose a couple because they were ones I really thought would be fun to engage with. One of the questions you had is, have you ever experienced an unforgettable road? An unforgettable road moment in your life, either physically or spiritually, and what made it unforgettable? You shared a story Sunday, so I want to share a story. When I was in high school, I went with my church on a mission trip to Mexico. Not to Ninos to Mexico, but I went to Mexico City, and I actually stayed at the house of a guy that doesn't live that far away from Ninos to Mexico, so it's just interesting to me. And while we were there, we went to southern Mexico. We took a bus ride overnight to southern Mexico, and we were in a region called Oaxaca. And as we were going around these cliffs and mountains, it's very similar to Colorado. There are one-lane roads out there, but the bus driver acted like they were two-lane roads. And it was terrifying, for one. But the other thing is we all got sick. And it was one of those just stanky, unforgettable bus rides. I can still smell because we all were waiting in line to get in the bathroom to do the things we needed to do in the bathroom. I know most of us, because it ran out of toilet paper, we all ran out of pairs of socks because we started using socks.
God.
It was an unforgettable trip.
It's just worse.
I know, right? But one of the reasons why I say that is, and it's funny to me, is you asked what makes those trips unforgettable. I think it was, I thought I was prepared, and yet I still wasn't. Yeah. It's the surprising things. And I think spiritually it's the same thing, right? Mm-hmm. The unforgettable roads and the unforgettable moments or bumps along the ways are moments that usually happen when I thought I was really prepared, and then something came out of nowhere that I wasn't expecting. Kind of like we just went on a trip and we were in another city and there was this road, what's it called? A bump in the road.
Dip?
It's not a dip. There's lots of dips. Speed bumps.
Speed bumps. Those are hard to think of.
Man, it's tiring. I'm tired, man. Speed bumps, though. The reason why I said this is, like, it made me think of this. We had one speed bump that we all could not see because they painted it the same color that, like, parking lot. Yeah. It was a sneaky speed bump, and we all felt that one. You, me, and James.
Yeah, we hit it a half dozen times.
We did. Yeah. We even knew it was there. Yeah. But it made it unforgettable because it was the speed bump along the way, right? We thought we were prepared, but we weren't. And I think spiritually, it's those speed bumps, those moments that, man, it just blended into what was happening and I didn't see it. So that's for me, at least.
Unforgettable roads, there's so many. I could tell stories all day long of unforgettable roads. I told one on this last weekend about a spider in the van. And another unforgettable road for me, not as funny this time, was in March of 2006. I had been in a couple of ministries. One had ended kind of badly, just things outside of my own control, but ended badly. And we'd taken a season to recover and to rest, look for work and a church job somewhere. And I found one in Ohio. And I was getting ready to move there. We'd load the truck up one day. We were going to sleep that night and go the next day down the road. And it was going to be about a 12-hour drive down the road. And man, the next day I realized, getting to that vehicle, I didn't want to go. And I was physically sick. I mean, have you ever been so knotted up you're physically sick with worry? Because I have been. And I was physically sick. And I remember the truck left. And my wife, she's so patient with me. She said, we'll wait for a while till you're feeling better. So we waited for a while. And then finally she said, we're done being patient. It's time to go. And so, we get in the van with the trash can and we're going down the road. And I got feeling better the whole way. She keeps telling me, she's like, God's in control. We're following him. We've prayed. He's been faithful. He'll be faithful again. Yeah. And this whole road, I spent 12 hours reminding myself that God's faithful. And then he was faithful in that ministry for almost 10 years. And but it's unforgettable. I remember that road still leaving for it and the feelings I was going through.
Yeah, and so they're hard. I'd be interested to hear your guys' unforgettable moments. I mean, we're going to talk another question, but take time. Add it to the comments below. Don't wait till the end of this video. We'd love to hear those unforgettable moments, whether spiritually or physically for you. Because it's just fun to share stories sometimes. The second question that you wrote down, and this is my version of the question, is the two that walked along the road were very disillusioned and disappointed by the reality that of what they thought Jesus had done. What they thought had happened to Jesus. Yeah. They had not known that there was a resurrection. And so this king they thought was going to reign forever, the king who beat death for other people, right? He raised Lazarus. He did these things. Didn't seem like he could do it for himself. Yeah. So they're disappointed and disillusioned. And why do you think that is? And why do you think, more importantly, we feel that way sometimes?
Yeah. Well, I think it was because the two on the road to Emmaus and the 12 disciples, or 11 disciples at that point, they were people like us. This is a moment. Sometimes we read the Bible and remember that's not our culture. But this is a moment I think we can identify with the culture because people are the same. In this regard, anytime you go through history, we tend to believe in what we can touch, we can see, we can feel, we can hold, we can manipulate and work with, and that's what we know is tangible and real. That's one reason why we learn the faith in the book of Hebrews is being sure we can't see and hoping for what's not happened yet, right? We know this. And with it, we get disappointed, disillusioned, just like they did, because we heard something in a great sermon, a great church service, an experience at a retreat, on Caleb, whatever it was. You heard something, and you're like, yes, that's what God has for me. And then life just continues on. Yeah. And then we start to wonder, wait a minute, I couldn't see it, I couldn't touch it, I couldn't feel it, I couldn't hold it, I couldn't smell it, I couldn't hear it. Is it real? And we experience something I do.
I think in my own life, and I don't want to speak for everybody, but I think you maybe can feel this way too. I think we're all a lot more alike than we think we are. In my own life, though, I think the times I've been the most disappointed and disillusioned, especially with Jesus, has been when I've not actually put my hope in the right thing. Right? I've been thinking about this a little bit since Sunday, and I think most of the time when I walk away from Jesus disappointed or disillusioned, man, I didn't understand that, I didn't see that coming, are things that he told me. Like through scripture, he showed me this is how he is throughout all of history. But my understanding of it was incorrect. So I think of the people on the road to Emmaus, they were hoping in that culture for a savior to redeem them from Rome. But Jesus said he was going to save them, but they latched onto what they hoped the saving meant instead of what Jesus had explained it to be, which is actually a king. He was the king coming in and redeeming all of creation, and he was going to defeat death. The biggest enemy was death and sin.
Yeah. Hearing that gives me a thought. Is it possible that one reason we get disillusioned and disappointed, is it possible this because we hear the promises from God, I will provide. And we hear that, filter it through our own lens, of which we are too often the center of the world. God will provide. That's great, because I really need a new car, right? God will provide a new car. My car runs. I got one that works, but he'll provide a new car because he said he'd provide. Or God will lead and open a door. Well, that's great because, man, I could use a new job and promotion and a raise. That's great. And we read it through our lens, but all too often, actually, let me back up. Always, God spoke through his own lens.
Yep.
Right? Through his own lens. And everything he said, every promise he made, was for the good of his people who were living for the good of his kingdom. See the connection right there? And it changes the way we view those things.
Because God does. He always provides, but he provides in the ways that he's dictated the terms, right? Yeah. We like to change the terms to make it better for us all the time, even in this kingship thing. So like his terms is like, I will give you bread for the day. And I hear it as, I need him to fill my gas tank, my refrigerator, my freezer, my other freezer, my maybe other refrigerator in the garage with my other favorite drinks, and I need him to pay off all my credit card debt because I wasn't good with my money.
Yes, and we try to negotiate the terms of the contract. But God offered us a covenant. He said, I will give you my name, my kingdom, my family. I will give you my provision. I will give you who I am. And you will give me everything you have. And everything you are. And you'll submit it to me. And then we say, great. About point B on page 2 of the contract. Let's negotiate that. There's no negotiation of terms, though. God offers covenant. Take it or leave it. If you try to negotiate it, that is the same as leaving it.
And that's what's always going to leave you disillusioned and disappointed, because you think you had negotiated, but God never negotiates on the terms. And if you go back to the original terms, if you go back to what God has always said he's going to do, he's always faithful in it. He's only unfaithful when we try to change the terms, because he's only unfaithful to our terms, not his terms.
So good.
So I just want to encourage you in that. Join us this weekend. We'd love to worship with you Saturday night at 6 o'clock or Sunday morning, 8, 9:30, 11. Church as always, you are sent. Have a great day.